Good evening. Just let one person here. Good evening and welcome to the May 9th, 2024 Zoning Commission regular meeting at 7 p.m. held in the Town Hall Room 133. I'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to start. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, I'll have the members of the commission introduce themselves, starting from my left.
Gwen Arment, regular member,
Anthony,
first time.
Anthony Papucci, Vice Chair.
Kurt Timmerman, Chairman.
Sean Turner, Secretary.
Matt Grimes, regular member 2.0.
So congratulations, both Gwen and Matt, for being raised up to regular members. So no seating of alternates. We have no alternates out there in the community. If someone wants to be an alternate on the zoning commission, please contact either your
We've got 3 spots available.
yes, 3 spots available. Political Action Committee
Or the Board of Selectmen directly.
or the Board of Selectmen directly. All right, zoning enforcement officers report, since it's so big, I think we'll just have Fran's email to everybody. It's like 6 pages long, not much changes. And if you have any questions, you know, we can cover it next time. And we also was thinking of just doing it once a month. Because some of these dates that we put on, they're beyond our next meeting anyway, so we're always waiting for, 2 meetings down. That way we can email it, look at it, and then have questions instead of trying to read it and have them present it here. So does that sound like a good idea for everybody, for administrative?
Sometimes, but I don't mind that, but I do think that sometimes something comes up in between meetings
Yeah.
that he needs the commission's direction on. so-
Sure, oh yeah, of course. And it would be nice if we saw it ahead of time, because since we don't get to see it until right now, then it's hard to read it and
But,
have some questions,
Face it, Fran's got a lot of activity on his plate.
Yes, naughty.
And it's growing.
Yeah.
He had dark hair when he took the job.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
And I hate to go back to 31 Green Knoll, but we're almost on 2 years.
Litigation's pending.
I understand that. Are we any further with the litigation? Do we know anything?
When we can't discuss that when the litigation's pending, we have to do that in executive session, unfortunately.
The one thing I am doing is creating a timeline for our town attorney, because it is 2 years long, and when things happened along the way. So that makes it easier for him to understand the whole part of the problem and help us when we go back into executive session.
Maybe at one of the regular meetings in June, where there's a lighter one, we can have him come back and say where we are on the litigations and everything for executive session, maybe, if
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Glancing through it now, does anybody have any questions on any of these?
I guess was just, there's any that Fran thinks we should make a motion on to move to a next level, or
No, not
give it some
tonight.
strength? Not tonight?
Roosters and chickens.
All right, the next thing, that was 2A. 3A, there was a letter from the Planning Commission. Did you guys have a chance to read through it? Last time I mentioned to look at that from Commissioner Knapp from the Planning Commission, and also to look at the PCOD, which is their driving document that they're in the midst, or they're just starting to change it. They're making schedules, figuring out hiring of consultants to help them out with it. And the first step was this letter out to not just us, but a number of different groups to see what our feedback is on how things went for the last 10, is it 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah, for the last 10 years, and what we think, because they're trying to gather all the input from all the different groups. So I don't know if anybody has anything to comment now.
Well, there's going to be, I think, a lot of things taken into consideration with the next POCD. One is just a couple of things, like, for example, and there was some somewhat of a discussion at the Capitol meeting. You know, you have the police station coming down the pike.
Yep.
That's gonna change things. You've got whatever's gonna happen with the center school property. We don't know that yet. That's gonna change things. And, the statistics show the population, despite the change, is not really getting any younger. I think Brookfield is in the top 5 senior citizen per capita in the state.
Yeah.
And that puts a strain on your ambulance, your first response, and everything else. And we have, not only do we have more housing, but we have more senior housing than we
Yeah.
ever had. So-
And there was actually a report by Greg Dembowski on that very subject, as town as a whole, where we are. It has all the demographics, all the apartments coming online, who they're filled with, who's using the emergency services, and also the demographic, you know, the
And
age.
the aging of the
age,
population.
exactly, and how we compare to the state and our other.
I believe we're in the top 5, if we're not in the top 10 on
Yeah.
senior citizen per capita. New Milford's up there too. Southbury, I believe, is number 1.
And so feedback like that, I know, and I think these are things, thoughts for discussion, feedback we've gotten from residents on how they think the TCD is doing, both the center district, both pro and con. Some like the building, some don't like the building, some think they're too high, too low. And so those are the things that we have to feedback to the planning
And I
commission.
mean, even a year from now, we're gonna have two new grocery stores open in town. So
Right.
one's coming on May 23rd.
So, Courtney has brought out in her letter here, you know, things for a community character, you know, and they talk about form-based code, so there's something to Google, like what form-based is versus other types. Architectural considerations, do they like the architecture? This is what the POCD and the architectural guidelines we have. Is that good? Is that bad? What have we heard? Natural resources. These are the things that we were supposed to do, and how did we do them? For example, stormwater treatment for new commercial and everything. That was one of the goals of the last POCD. And I've noticed on every single plan that comes forward, you know, and we have regs that require a stormwater report. And then all these reports, they always have less runoff than they started with. And what they do is they try to keep the groundwater where it is. They have these infiltration systems, so the stormwater goes into these big tanks and slowly seeps back in to the ground because of all the impervious surfaces, like, you know,
Sidewalk.
sidewalks, blacktops, the building itself. And so the goal was to not have runoff, keep the aquifer recharged. So if go through each of these, and if you need a copy of the letter, I can send it again, because some of the commissioners might not have it. To go through and, you know, just write your points down, and we can draft a response back to the planning commission for the things to consider as they go forward with
I
this.
would also urge planning to sort of be a little more proactive on the public input side, similar to what we did with the cannabis and everything.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people don't know about the POCD process and everything.
Yeah.
And I think this is really a good opportunity to educate the public that they're gonna have a public hearing, I believe, at the beginning of the process, and they're gonna have one later on in the process and everything. And that's really where, I mean, they can only take input from those that show up.
Yes,
And so
yes.
if they were proactive like we were, getting it out on the patch, getting it out on the news times, getting it out on the radio, I think that that's very, very helpful, and it'll help them get the pulse of the character of the town.
Yeah, and they do have a budget item for not only consultant, but doing surveys.
Yes.
So the last time they did a POCD, part of it was a survey to find out the things that ended up as a TCD and the POCD. And one of those, I don't know if it's monkeys, whatever they're called, but they have professionals do the survey, get the town people. They show them different things that the planning commission wants to get feedback on, and then they get that report. So they do a lot of advertising with that, but point taken, you know, the more public input we can get on this, they can get on it, the better. Because this is an important document for them to create, and so we'll do whatever we can to do it. So the first questions are, how did we do in the last one? And so that's what they're asking, all these groups, including us, and they nicely said, you know, this is what we want to hear from you in these areas. So Courtney Knapp is a professional planner, so she does this for a living. She's not a professional planner, I thought she,
No, she is.
Oh, she is.
actually teaches.
yeah, so she teaches this sort of stuff, so.
And just as the first step for the public outreach,
Yeah.
is for a starting point, they're planning extensive public outreach,
Good,
possibly
good.
open
Yeah.
houses. We're just getting through it.
That's
I sit
terrific.
on that, so
That's
this
really
is
Yeah.
just the beginning, and it's kind of getting an idea and benchmarking what the goals were 10 years ago, what we did towards those goals,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna look into what the new goals
And I would
are.
suggest one of the outreach places be the senior center because it's more occupied than it's ever been over there, so. Anyway,
Okay, so,
We have excuse me, we have a list of what those goals were 10 years ago.
oh, sure.
So if you actually look in the POCD, and I think she pulled each and every one of them and put in the letters.
Yes.
So these
Buried
letters
in
are
my
tailored
email
towards
somewhere.
each commission they went for, that say these were the items that either the zoning commission was the lead on, or they were teamed up, some of them like overlap with the zoning and conservation or zoning
Yeah.
board of selectmen, each action items, but it's interesting to go through the POCD in its entirety and see
Yeah.
what the vision was for the town 10 years, and kind of also kind of get a grasp on what do you want to see in your POCD.
right, so they have a vision, they have the goals, and then they have examples towards the end of, you know, what should each, you know, group do to get to those goals, to satisfy them. So it is extensive, it's a long document, but if you look at the goals, and that's what she helped pull out here, then we can see, well, have we met them or not? And based on your own personal experience and what you've heard from the community itself. So that would be great. So we can continue that next time.
Move we accept the regular minutes of April 25th, 2024.
All right, does anybody have a second on that?
No, I got a correction.
Okay.
Could we second it
You can
first?
second it, and then you can amend it.
Oh, all right, then I second it, and I'm looking for my notes. I noticed.
I didn't take them.
Nah, I hit them this time, because I didn't want you to take them. Line 242. It says, Mr. Rapucci made a motion to continue the public hearing for the application. That's supposed to be continued deliberations,
Ah.
because public hearing is closed.
Yes.
Right.
No matter, yeah, the agenda's wrong too by saying continued.
Oh,
We'll find
yes,
those out.
that's true.
242.
But we can make a motion to amend the agenda later on because this is a regular meeting, so.
Well, that's the next thing, anyway.
No, so,
All right, yes, yep.
Oh, and also down on the number 9, tabled items, revision of zoning fee schedule. I didn't say that the zoning fee schedule was due by the end of the fiscal year. What I said was, when they do the budget for the fiscal year, they do it based on what their knowledge is of the fee schedule.
What
Or
line is
revenue.
that?
265, 26, that area. What I was saying was that when the Board of Finance puts the budget together on the revenue side,
Yeah.
they do it based on what they know the fee schedule to be, where revenue traditionally comes from there. I wasn't
So-
saying that it's due by that date. I said it would probably be helpful to have it by that date. There's nothing that mandates it due by that.
Why don't we, you want to replace was due by, say, is helpful by? or-
Yes, well, we could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I think, that compels it in the law to
Yeah.
have it be on that date. yeah.
So on line 266, replace was due with is helpful. Okay. Any other revisions, amendments, to the minutes? All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes of April 25th, 2024 with the stated amendments?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
And I'm gonna make a motion to
Okay.
make, I'm gonna make a motion to make 5A the new 7A and make the current 7A 7B, because this is really old business, not a public hearing.
5A,
7A.
5A will be 7A and current 7A will be 7B.
do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Tony, and all in favor, any discussion? No? Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No? Abstain? No, okay. Motion passes. So, 5A, we have nothing. 6, we have nothing. So 7A, 271.
That 7A is now.
Oh, I'm sorry. 7A, 100 Pocono Road, Z-24-11, Town of Brookfield for the cannabis. Continued deliberations. So just to note on these deliberations, and any vote, our vote we do have to approve a vote, because without a vote approved, we have no regulations on it. So as in your packet, we had talked about the 4 different languages. I did have the town attorney
And
look at
I
it.
do want to thank Tom Beecher for his diligence in getting us those 4 motions, by the
Yeah.
way.
So, those 4 motions, and so one of those, or a modification of any of those, we have to come to a consensus so that, we actually have a vote that we approve, because then we have regs we have regs, and then, we're not left unprotected. My opinion about the whole thing, and thank you for saying, to recommend rereading. I read all the letters, and of all the things, I have to say, I think the same with Gwen, but I'll let her speak to it. I really think maybe banning everything is the best course for now. And just to note, it doesn't mean forever, because these regs, just like we're changing them now, can be changed again. But that's my feeling, that's my opinion on it.
I also read everything that was submitted ahead of the deadline. I didn't read what came in after the deadline, and I listened to everything, and I went back and watched the tape.
Yep.
So I'd like to share some thoughts, if I could.
Yes, of course.
I really want to thank everybody who came to the public hearings and who took the time to write into us, because their participation is appreciated, and at the level that I wish we could get for a lot of things facing Brookfield, whether it's zoning or not. And I am sorry for anybody that felt that they couldn't speak up for the fear of being ostracized. That's wrong. This is a town meeting government. Everybody should feel they could speak their opinion, even if they're maybe the only one in the room that has it. It should be respected. And in the zoning commission, during the past, the present, and surely when we become the P&Z commission, very difficult decisions come to this board of 5 elected and 3 appointed members. Last time, we had some back and forth over with the members in the audience over those elected and those appointed. I don't think the zoning commission or any board or commission members should take their role any more or less seriously if they were elected as opposed to appointed. We all take the same oath. Those of us who are appointed by those who were elected. In my case, 2 people elected by the overwhelming majority of Brookfield. But after a collective 8 years on this commission, I feel qualified to say that many of our decisions do not look at all the same as the one before the commission on cannabis. The difference is with this decision, as commissioners, we can actually say and vote on what we think would be in the best interests of Brookfield. Most of the time, we can't do that. Most of the time, it's not about what we think would be good, bad, or indifferent. Many decisions by a zoning commissioner simply, if an application meets the zoning regs, it's going to be approved. If an application doesn't meet the zoning regs, it's going to be denied. And to the extent that the commission can work with an applicant on stipulations, we try to do that. But this decision isn't like that. And with this decision, I and the other commissioners are free to vote on what we feel would be in the best interest of Brookfield. My decision-making process has compelled me to get all of the facts, consider all of the opinions of the many that have taken the time to reach out to the zoning commission with their thoughts. Do they all agree? No, but seldom do they ever. In the end, the decision rests with the commission, unfortunately. The laws don't provide a means for zoning decisions to be voted on at referendum, the way that some people talked about. Therefore, it begins and ends here at this table. So it's common knowledge that cannabis has journeyed far in the last 20 or 30 years. I actively opposed all attempts at the state legislature to allow recreational marijuana here in Connecticut, and I was very disappointed that the legislature did not utilize a means that would have allowed all our citizens in Connecticut to decide the question in the privacy of the voting booth. I think that decision should have been given to them. It wasn't, and that said, cannabis has become part of our statutory scheme, which brings us here. The fact that it's now part of the statutory scheme might compel some to say what I cringe every time I hear somebody say, it's, we can't do anything about it. Well, instead of throwing our hands up and saying that, we have to say, what can we do about it? That has to be our approach in town government. That's the approach I take as a member of this commission, and based on that, I concluded that what we can do about it is enact a ban on cannabis sales here in Brookfield. We can do that as a zoning commission, and if we can do that based on what we heard in the public, we must do that. I understand and appreciate that medical marijuana has helped many, some of whom are our friends and neighbors. At the same time, those that I know who have benefited from this have been able to obtain it, what they need when they need it, and will continue to be able to obtain what they need when they need it, regardless of what the commission does, without zoning giving it a green light for it here in Brookfield. Finally, I feel the drug problem in the country and within the community has festered for a long time and will continue to fester no matter what the commission does, no matter what we as a community can do together to make the worldwide goal of kicking substance abuse a reality. I'll be voting in favor of the regulations that ban cannabis establishments within the town of Brookfield. I believe that's what the community wants at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Anybody else wants to talk about? What
Well,
this-
I'll have to, I don't have a speech, but.
I didn't.
You do?
No, I didn't.
But I will have to ditto what Mr. Grimes said and Mr. Timmerman. I consider what I heard, what I read, and overwhelmingly, it was against any cannabis in this town. And I believe that that also goes along with the character of the town. I'm not voting as myself, I'm voting as what I heard, what I read from the town, and it was certainly overwhelming. And on top of that, I will reiterate that whatever money we would get from it, glean from it, probably half of what we would expect, if that. It's very limited as to what we can spend it on, and those limitations don't serve this town. In actuality, we're not a big city, and we don't have those problems.
Thank you.
And as I said the last time, medical marijuana can be delivered, and we can also go to Danbury.
Mhm. All right, thank you. That was a good speech.
Off they go.
Extemporaneous. Tony or Sean, did you?
Gonna be quiet.
Okay, all right.
I want to add something. I'm gonna vote in favor of having cannabis in Brookfield. I think it's beneficial. I think that it's gonna happen eventually.
Mhm.
Why wait? It's gonna happen. I also want to point something out that I did a little bit of research on my own and realized that, a lot of people talked about what the money can be used for. What some didn't bring up is stuff like mental health addiction services that the money can be used for, Youth Service Bureau and Municipal Juvenile Review Boards, and community civic engagement efforts. So there is a benefit for the money that we would get. I heard everything everybody had to say, and I also went out and spoke to people in the community that told me they didn't want to come and talk because of the stigma that they felt would be placed upon them. I've talked to law enforcement officers about it and what they've seen. It's a gamble either way you put it. My heart certainly goes out to anybody that has been affected by whatever drugs or anything like that. But I will be voted in favor of this.
All right, thank you, Sean.
I am gonna say something.
Okay, no problem.
Sean's hit my hand. As of right now, I'm still not sure how I'm gonna vote. In reading what the town has talked about, knowing different components of this, Sean brings up good points. Money, if we go this route, could be used for some component of it. Although in the deliberations of last meeting, it also codifies the other side. You're basically taking something from this to fund the program, and it's a perpetual circle.
Yeah.
One of the, at least it's resonating in my head, one of the key things that someone said during the public hearing was, this might be right for a town. It might not be right for Brookfield. And I kind of echo that. And the reason being is, Brookfield has a character. People choose to live here, whether it's affluent, whether it's quiet, whether it's small. That becomes a component. And lastly, though, again, I agree with Sean, eventually this will happen. We're not there yet. There are large banks that do not allow certain elements of this because it is not at the federal level. It's mandated at a state-to-state level. Governments change, laws change, and the exposure of going down this paradigm with dealing with that, there is a potential exposure. Could be small, might not exist, might never change, but it's a possibility, and you have to, we as commissions have to take that into consideration.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman,
Yes,
I'm gonna make a motion that the commission approve application Z 24-11 with option 2 as drafted by the town attorney, which amounts to a total ban. And in granting, without reading the rest of the text, in granting this approval, the commission acknowledges that A, the proposed regulation to ban cannabis establishments is in keeping with the POCD in terms of community character and the health and welfare of Brookfield citizens. B, it is also in keeping with Brookfield's messaging about drugs in our schools and with the nonprofits that support Brookfield, example, Brookfield Cares. That's my motion.
all right, just before you second it, just so people understand, we can't take more than one vote. Because if we take a vote and it fails, the application's done. So, that's why we have to get a consensus first about, is there any of these that are going to not fail? And based on that, that's what
I think based on the discussion, that's gonna be.
yeah, I agree. I just want not only the commission to understand, because there's not going to be, I'm gonna vote for this one, not that one. No, there's gonna be one vote. But everybody's input is noted. And some of these reasons, I mean, there's 2 here already. I don't know if we need more than 2. For some of the other ones, we didn't have reasons yet because the commission's job is to develop more reasons for actually coming up with one of those. But with that said,
I'm okay with those reasons.
I mean, those reasons, they go back to
And they're broad and
the
encompassing, they're
POCD.
very
They also
encompassing.
go back to our own regs, the second one. And the health and welfare goes back to our own regs. It doesn't say that in the POCD, but it does say in our regs. Our regs are a manifestation of the POCD. And just like they're supposed to be in the new one coming out.
But also the POCD does talk about the character.
Yes, the
health of
character, the
community,
character
so
is about that.
therefore-
So that's directly from the POCD.
One quick thing, Mr. Chair,
yes,
if you
please.
could set an effective date with the motion for the regulation change, because according to this, it doesn't have one.
Oh, no, it's empty, yeah, so we would,
What's the date the moratorium expires?
no, we can set it for tomorrow.
Okay,
As
so,
soon as we, any
file it
vote,
with the town clerk, yeah.
yeah, as soon, no,
So
it's published
it
date.
can be effective, you can set an effective date as early as tomorrow. The moratorium expires on the 15th.
Or the effective date of this reg.
And then there's the appeal period, of course, with all things after 15 days after the publication date.
For my motion seconded, I'll add the effective date of 5/10/24.
So May 10th. And, all right.
Gotta be seconded.
So, do I need a second on this motion for a total ban option 2?
Second that.
Thank you, Gwen. Any more discussion on the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain? No abstention, so that was 4-1-0. So Sean was opposed, and everybody else was affirmative. All right, thank you. So I'll create a clean copy for the land use office, so I can sign a clean copy tomorrow. All right, thank you. And that was a long one. These started a long time ago, way back in early 2023 when we started discussing. We started discussing these regs, I think when the moratorium, before the last moratorium was re-upped. All right, so the next is 7B. No, it's
7B.
yeah, 7B, 271 Federal Road Z-24-1. The reason that this is on here, we get my piece of paper out. We have, there's a recommended amendment to the approval to strike all three stipulations that we approved on our last meeting. Namely, they were addition of speed limit signs, one in each direction, the addition of the speed bump, and the requirement of traffic control officer on Sundays when departing traffic exceeds 50 vehicles an hour. The reason is, in the opinion, well, this is what we're gonna build, but the opinion is that it's an overreach of the commission to impose any stipulations, given that, one, this is a less intensive use, and two, the previous use didn't have any stipulations. So that overreach is like, why are we adding something to a application when they're doing less than they were doing before? And you know, it could be grounds. So, and also further supporting that removal of the stipulations, there's already speed limit signs there, 10 miles an hour, one in each direction, and there is already a speed bump. And I think it's better for the police to determine, do we need a traffic control officer, because they're the experts in the field. And we, in fact, as far as traffic control goes, we always defer to the police to give their opinion on the traffic report that comes from an applicant or not. So,
I think we did that because, and I started to suggest because they did overstep their bounds before.
Yes.
Yes,
And at least
And-
they came back to us with a proper.
they did,
Yes.
they did.
And they had to come twice. First, they had to get a zone change.
But we never did hear from the church.
Well, the church was represented
I
by,
understand.
yeah. And really, that doesn't matter.
I understand.
And they have
It
legal,
would have been nice.
yeah. I,
So you get a feeling,
sure.
because this isn't zoned for that. We did not change the zoning, did we?
Oh, yes, we
We
did.
did.
Oh, yes. That
So
was,
we have changed the zoning.
yeah, the zone does
I thought it
allow
was a special
churches
permit.
there.
Okay.
Oh, so what happened first was, first they had to even have a zone change. And in fact, the first time was turned down.
Yes,
But then we brought ourselves to change it and add it not only to that zone, but some other commercial zones that matched what the other meeting houses were, you know, not secular meeting houses. So it's even between religious and non-religious uses. They all are allowed to do that. So
assembly.
assembly, yes, assembly houses. So now, since it was allowed, they can come forward with a special permit, which they did. So I would accept a motion to amend the previous approval of Z-24-1 in our meeting of April 25th, 2024 meeting by striking the three stipulations.
I'll make a motion to strike the three stipulations.
Thank you, Sean. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tony. Any more discussion on striking those three? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain because I didn't vote on the
And one
initial
abstention.
application.
All right. So that's 401 with Mr. Grimes abstaining. Thank you.
Motion to set a public hearing for May 23rd, 2024 on 10 Dinglebrook Road, application Z-2423, Gordon Hallis, attempt to construct a 795 square foot, one level handicap accessible in-law cottage. Is that enough time, May 23rd?
Yep. And
Very good.
Seconded.
Second, thank you, Tony. Any discussion? That date seems good. So far, we don't have anything else for May 23rd. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Abstain? Nothing? Okay, unanimous. All right, and now, 9A, revision of zoning fee schedule. Finally,
Finally. without
got a little
further
push from Mr. Grimes, and it's on the ticket.
So it really should read, because we have to make a motion to amend the agenda to, it's the fee schedule and proposed regulation change.
Oh, all right. Yes, so,
Well, when we make the motion, we can do that. I mean, it's a regular meeting, so.
So in addition with the fee schedule, which you've all previously received, I had proposed some regulation changes. I gave you a breakdown, and these are some of the ones that just turned into a little bit more of housekeeping issues. Your chair prepared this document, so I can't take credit for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the only slight change that I would suggest and to just take out the word housekeeping
Where are you?
under.
First page,
The first
Um,
page for, section C,
on the bottom.
and just kind of,
C.
yep, just to have changes to remain compliant with state regulations and clarifications to existing regulations, because some of these don't have anything to do with that public act that went through, but we did make some changes, like the excavation fill permit. There's a great little summary of each one and what the changes are, and if we wanna go forward with this as a commission endorsed application, we would just need a vote.
Do we need to set a public hearing on this?
We do need to set a public hearing on this.
Had I sent this out before for housekeeping or just to you?
I thought you had sent it to everyone. Today I found out it was just to me.
Oh,
I
all right.
apologize. I would have forwarded it to the rest of the commission.
Yeah, so, so I grouped it into the top ones are changes related to Public Act 23-142. And this has to do with group homes, and they changed nomenclature, and, you know, the state regs changed, so we want to be lined up with that. So, of course, it shows up in, well, 5 different areas there to make those changes to align with state statutes. So those are what those are. In the meantime, I've been collecting, well, 2 things. One, I've been collecting some changes, and 2, Ms. Barkowski has been looking through the regs themselves and giving some.
Looks like she's been certainly doing her
Suggestions.
homework.
She's, and by the way, some of these overlap with the fee schedule, because the nomenclature in the fee schedule, for example, we have a permit for excavation. Well, we would make it excavation and fill, slash fill. So the first one, did I put them in order like this?
Looks like it.
I don't know. The summary is grouped by what they do, but in the body, I put them in numerical order. So some are pretty straightforward. 2.2, define terms, just changing names. Same with 3.3B and 3.3C are all related to group homes. And then 3.3D, this is on page 4, I just added the word setbacks, because the attorney some time ago had suggested you should put that in there so it's clear, so that's clarity sort of thing.
Question.
Yes.
In looking at the daycare, and the only reason why is this came across the board a couple meetings ago,
Mhm.
for the adult facility that they're setting up behind or close to Maggie McFly's. But I don't know if
Oh.
that's a daycare. Again,
I
now
see
now
what you're
it's,
saying.
so, there was the property, it was like 4,000 square feet that they're going to do to have adult programs
Yeah.
for a senior and some of those things. And it was, for lack of a better term, it was a senior slash care. So I'm wondering if that needs to be added as well.
I don't think that's covered
And I
by
don't know.
state reg.
I don't believe it is.
Okay.
No.
This is based off of type of.
No, that's fine. That's why my question.
Yeah. Yeah, because it seems to mainly talk about children, protecting the
Right,
children. Yeah.
with
So I
group,
don't-
right. Again, when the group childcare, again, now, the group childcare, what, some of the group homes, especially through Ability Beyond, they go
Yeah.
past 26.
Right.
That, again, so now that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
So, that's fine.
All right.
Again, I just wanted to make sure
Okay, yeah,
we weren't missing something.
sure.
So the next step is to set a public hearing on this and have.
Well, if you look through this, and maybe you can look through it tonight, and then the next meeting, after everybody gets familiar with it, then we can say, yes, we do want to put this application in. And that along with the fee schedule stuff, because technically the fee schedule is part of our regs.
That's correct,
It's
yeah.
appendix 2 or 3, something like that.
So the fee schedule itself require a public hearing?
Well, if we do it all at once,
Put them together, and say, amendments to zoning regs.
No, if you were not amending the zoning regs, would you have to put the fee schedule up to a public hearing?
that is a good question.
We-
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think so, because it's part of the appendix of the zoning regulations, so it gets into a little bit of an interesting.
Yeah, it's
I would like to get
It's
clarification
referenced,
on that.
but-
I mean, I know, to me, if somebody brought it to me and I was the town attorney, I would say, no, probably it doesn't, but I would like to get some clarification on that.
Right.
It's not an emergency, but.
Yeah, because maybe if it's referenced, like, oh, this document, go to there to find out what the fees are, and then they will change from time to time. So, yeah, let me find out about that.
Okay. So you want us to take this draft tonight and kind of look it over, and then next meeting we'll be ready to have us.
Yeah, but I think we should talk about the fee schedule tonight. And then where noted, I can say, hey, there's an overlap with this other thing, and we can group them together.
When you redid the regs, did you redo the fee schedule at the same time? Did they go
No.
together?
No, we just reference them, like, the existing fee schedule.
So-
Yeah, there's certain things in the current fee schedule that don't exist in our current regulations.
Yeah.
So,
The names have changed.
that was my point.
Yeah, so, yeah, they're, like you saw with the markup, there's things, yeah, they don't exist anymore, so why are they even in there?
And some permits
Natural
that-
resource removal
Yeah.
permit, wood cutting permit, you know,
Right.
there's no such thing in our regs, so.
Would've been nice to do it at the same time.
Yeah. Well, you see how hard it is. That's why we probably left it off.
Well, they change from time to time, don't
They do, but they haven't changed for years, right? Which is why we're here. So look over those, but maybe you can go over, do you want to go over the fee schedule, or do you want me to
Do you
go
want
over?
me, if you would like to go over, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. Now, two things. She has a red line that looks like this. And that was based on some initial work that I had done, just taking our original, the pink version of the fee schedule, and just noting what sections apply, and then what things don't make any sense anymore. And then based on that, the land use director decided, okay, you know, that's a starting point. Now I'm going to try to reorganize this. And one of the reorganizations, for example, was, let's put all the zoning permit things together. Zoning permit costs this much. What are those things that are required? You know, special permit, again, what are the things that are required? Because they were kind of mix and match here. For example, an accessory apartment, that's a special permit, it has a cost to it. But that also, things like zone change is also a special permit. So let's put all those things under special permit. And then you can quickly see what's the difference in cost, you know. And this is also where we had an opportunity, and have the opportunity, to make a difference between residential and commercial. You know, it's like, we don't want to whack a resident trying to put an accessory apartment in with a big number versus like a special, like a hearing like we've just gone through to change the regs, that costs more. Or a big commercial thing, which are based on different things. So she took that and moved it and created this red line. So sometimes it's hard to read red lines, but if you take a red line and look at it, it's at the top, zoning regulation book. Well, anybody can download the PDF for free, but if someone actually wanted a book, like we have, $40. Zoning district map, she just changed zoning map to, you know, something that actually matches what it says, the title. So she's going for consistency between the regs and this this fee schedule.
So the zoning map,
So if you wanted to buy a zoning district map, it'll
$10
cost you $10.
$10.
Or you can download it from the internet for free, kind of. So there's another one. So you see also, she put in the section numbers. Commission pre-application review, this is section 8.1. I don't know if we even do that anymore. I know you guys have it, but the zoning commission doesn't even get involved anymore, because it's sort of, you know, giving an opinion before they actually submit a application. That's probably improper, you know, to have us. We did it all the time, and we would not just have zoning commission there, we'd have all the heads of police and fire and everybody else looking at an application, say, oh, you missed this, or you missed that, or you know, that's wrong, or that's not. So that's what the intention was, is to get people who know about the town to look at it and say, you know, you got a few problems with your application. So before you submit it and go through to zoning or planning or whoever, they would point out the obvious things and, or, you know, maybe you should tweak this or that. So the zoning chair used to be a part of that, but it's no longer, based on, you know, feedback from the land use department. But do we even charge?
For that, so what you're talking about is the design review team,
Kind of like,
that we do have the meetings, I think we've only had 2 maybe since I've been here.
Yeah.
We do have the departments, there is no charge for them to discuss with the departments. It's kind of so when it does come before this commission, you have a more complete plan instead of the application kind of being submitted piecemeal.
right,
You could still have your pre-application review. It's not uncommon, a lot of towns do it.
mm-hmm,
They do charge a little bit just to make sure you don't get something frivolous coming before you that is not really a full idea,
yeah.
and wanting you to fill out the application for them.
Well, what's the difference between that and, say, an informal coming in front of us?
Informal
Someone's,
discussion.
yeah, someone's pitching their idea, basically. Sometimes they might bring drawings, and we'll look at them. That seems sort of the same sort of thing. And I don't even see where, well, it says section 8.1.
I think it's a non-binding.
Yeah. So 8.1.
That's why I put in those. It's a preliminary concept plan and pre-application review.
And is that supposed to happen here?
That would be for this commission, yes.
I mean, in front of our meeting,
Yes.
and not like in front of your design reviews
Well,
you
it
guys
can also
have.
be submitted to the land use department based off of the wording on this. So it gets a
181.
little bit,
As section 8.1, under
181.
procedures, the very first
the
page.
commission, a subcommittee thereof of land use or other town staff may informally review a concept plan. Pre-application review of a preliminary concept plan shall only be considered an advisory in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Preliminary concept plan should be placed in the file in the land use department for reference to its purposes.
So there's the thing, it's never, I don't remember ever collecting a fee for this. They would come in front and we'd give them, you know, helpful hints. Like you said, a complete application.
Informal.
For example, a lot of times people don't come with elevations, and we like to see what the thing looks like, you know. Site plans is okay, but elevations, the look and feel of it. And that always gives a 1 meeting delay as we wait for more information. So to your point, yeah, having a complete application helps. Yeah.
It does. If you don't want to charge for it, you absolutely don't have to. You can also remove it from the fee schedule.
So
So what if somebody comes in,
they do, and we've never charged for it.
yeah,
We've had
just for a little shed or something?
Well,
it'd be
like,
it'd be
usually
probably-
a commercial development would come in.
we've had one recently.
Do you want to
AR Builders.
qualify that?
Yeah, AR Builders.
Yeah, and they didn't get charged, right? That came in as an informal. In fact, that informal has nothing to do with this, as far as technically it isn't, because it's an informal discussion.
So remove the fee on it, is what it sounds like.
I guess I'm
Consensus.
thinking
That way
it's
you
like,
can get a complete application and we'll get our fee when,
Yeah,
That's where I was going with this.
That's, I would tend to agree.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if, yeah, if you do it, if you help in charge and then
I hear you.
process it again, that's definitely double dipping.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's just the
You pay to apply.
Yeah.
And then you pay to apply.
You-
You pay to
you pay to
pre-apply,
apply,
and then you
and
pay
then
to
you
apply.
pay to pass the test.
That's,
we'll give you half of our advice at the beginning, and then
Right,
we'll give the other
right.
half after. Once you get you hooked. All right, so after tag sale permits, there's certificate of zoning compliance / zoning permits. So this is that grouping that Laura did. And put single-family residential, you know, that requires a zoning permit. Multifamily residential requires one, and commercial, and I think those are the only three, right? And there was other ones down here that she moved down, that's why they're struck out. And so right in a glance, you can see, okay, it's 25 for, you know, just regular people, 50 for something a little more, and maybe that's too low, I don't know, maybe not. And then 150, so you can see them go up. And I personally, I like that structure, because it's easy for someone to pick it up and like, oh yeah, I had to go for a zoning permit. It references the section, 8.3. And
So
I think you-
multifamily is more than one?
Apartment,
Well, I understand. What if it's just two? Is it still 50?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So single-family residence or something bigger.
Okay.
But and of course, when people like bring in apartment houses, they have other fees on top of that.
Yes.
So the non-residential seasonal, we never had anything. There was nothing in there. I mean, we have regs on like Airbnbs, short-term rentals, but we don't have any fees. And right now, I think they're discussing that at the state about giving us the authority to put some regs in place and gain.
Yes, yes.
It passed, I think, the House, it's not passed the Senate.
All right,
Yeah,
So it's
sorry,
not,
I
it didn't get
misspoke.
taken, and they're done, so
yeah.
I think maybe coming up next session, but I
All
don't
right,
believe
so-
it passed, I don't believe the governor signed it into law, though.
And then we used to have conversion of
I didn't think it
single-family
passed.
dwelling.
Maybe it did, I don't know.
So if you rent out
I know the
your
house
house, you don't pay any fee?
No, but we have regs, so you can only rent them out a certain number of times. You're supposed to I think it's in here, it's supposed to register so we can keep track, but there's no fees.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's what the state is working on, to give us the authority to do that. Why wouldn't we?
Florida charges.
Yeah. Well, and then some, you know, because it's starting to look like a hotel, they're like adding
Yes.
hotel fees, because it's
Right.
not, they
Well-
figure it's not fair to have Airbnb come in here as a hotel and not.
Or renting every week.
Well, that's the challenge. How do you tax the
Okay.
Airbnbs or Verbos or all of that? Again, and most of the people that are doing that, those are primary residents. So they're already potentially skirting a tax
Yeah.
component as well.
And there, I think there was some language in there about, you know, the owner's gotta live there and just renting out part of it.
Mhm.
As opposed to, I just bought myself a house in order to rent it out, and I'm never living there, sort of thing. And that all goes to, you know, taking houses off the market that people need to live somewhere, and it's an empty house most of the time. And so that's what they're struggling with up at the state. And all the towns struggle with it too, I suppose. So we have something, but, you know, it's mostly to keep people safe in their own homes, because we don't want a lot of people coming through in a house next to you and you don't know them. And so that's why we limit the number of times someone can rent it out in a year. We understand, you know, the lake, and that's a nice place to rent, but you don't want your neighbors changing every week,
yeah.
every 2 weeks.
Yes, yes.
So that was the intent of the regulation we have on our regs right now. That's a long way of saying we don't have anything for that as far as the fee. Conversion of single-family dwelling, and maybe the nomenclature can be changed, because that's accessory apartments. So I think tightening up the language, you know, making this fee schedule match the actual titles in our regs, so people don't have to go looking around and say, well, what is this all about? And besides, that was a special permit, that's why I moved down. But one other thing about zoning permit is that I think we should also pull in 8.2 section and maybe expand to include temporary events, because that's also a zoning permit. Temporary events that are for not nonprofits. So nonprofits for special events do not pay a fee. Well, I'm sorry, they do not pay a fee for signs. They probably don't pay a fee for this anyway. So for commercial special events, we're talking, you know, like the local plumbing place has a tent event in their parking lot, and they, you know, they wanna put a tent up and stuff. So there's traffic concerns and everything else, they have to file a plan, and there would be a fee for that. And I don't know if that's even listed in here.
No,
I believe
don't
we
see
used to charge $50, Mr. Chairman.
$50, okay, so that's
special events. I don't see special events.
temporary event. Well, you know, there's the other nomenclature, I was looking through the regs today, there's things called special events, and special event signs, and things called temporary events, and things called temporary special events. I know. But for commercial, they're called temporary events, and you could have a special temporary sign for it. I mean, they're sort of the same thing, but that language could be tightened up too, so we don't confuse ourselves. So I would suggest adding that.
And
And-
with a fee of $50,
Yeah,
at
that's
least
not,
for a starting point.
yeah, because that's what we always,
These numbers I just threw in here.
yeah. And if that's what we do right now, right?
Yes.
Let's see, so then that covers certificate of zoning compliance and zoning permits. The next one is site plan application, which is section A4, and that's like the normal stuff we get from commercial stuff. And that's our current fee, $240?
That is, if it's not ratted out, it is the current fee.
Okay, yeah, it's not stricken out. And then the minor site plan modification, 8.4G, so it's like a subcategory. So a site plan is like the whole thing, we've seen it for the first time. The modification, minor, is we're making a small change, we're not taking any shrubs out, we're not increasing it by more than a certain square footage, or taking the, so hence why that's less. So that kind of belongs with this. So you can see they step up from the simple ones to the more,
Is that on top of? So
that's
I'm gonna use the example of,
not on top of the site plan. This is like they come back a year later and they wanna make a change.
okay, and that's where I was going with this, like, the stuff for Federal Road, they came in and asked for modification.
Yes, that was $150 plus, you
Right,
know.
that's what I meant by on top.
Yeah.
So they
Oh,
paid their
okay.
site plans, they came back and said, we wanna put this wagon here, we're gonna do this,
Yeah.
we're gonna make the driveway larger, cause the fire department wanted it
Yeah.
extended. There
Yeah.
would be an additional charge for the permits.
Yeah,
Okay,
and, you know, though, so there will be a file already from the original one, but the
Right.
land use department still have to go through, distribute all the packets,
Correct.
do all that work. So it's less, but it's not insignificant.
no, agreed, and that's why I said, I just,
So if they come back, so if they come in, and then they come back the next month,
Yeah, or at any time.
at any time,
Yeah, and they say, you know what, we wanna change this little aspect or that. They have to pay 150 plus whatever, 60 to the state. State's gotta get its piece. So that's what state gets $60 for a lot of things. So then that steps up to special permits. And so this is where it used to be further up, and now special permit residential, 3.4, I don't even know what that, you referenced the table, I think.
I think
Oh, the accessory use. And there was a table, 3.4A accessory uses and structures, and you referenced that. D, things that require a special permit. And that's fine. I think we should also reference 3.16 because that's the accessory apartment, so that they know, and maybe we should add some wordage there, accessory apartment too. So people, if they're looking for it, like, oh, I don't see accessory apartment here, you know, how much does that cost? Well, they can add it residential to section 3.4D and accessory apartment, section 3.16. That way it's obvious, it's easy. Cause a lot of people come in for accessory apartments, if you notice. We get one every
yeah,
couple months.
they do,
Yeah,
for mom and dad.
yeah. Yeah, mom and dad
Perhaps.
moving back home.
Perhaps.
And then commercial industrial, of course, those are more expensive. Those are like church come through, that was special permit. things that are on the table of the uses have the SP, so anything like that comes through. And again, the steps up from residential to commercial. And then the next one, which zoning text amendment or zoning map amendment, section 8.6. So that, is that a public hearing?
That
Do
is
you
a
group
public
it so
hearing.
public hearings? Did you want to put a heading of public hearing? Things that
Okay.
require a public hearing?
It absolutely requires a public hearing, so,
Yeah, because everything before this did not.
and I think that's why I
Oh.
tried to put it,
In a different section.
yes,
Oh, wait, accessory apartments require a public hearing, don't they?
but aren't they under that? the
They're under
frontage?
special permit.
So that would.
Oh, yeah, okay. So maybe it's just a grouping thing. Because you have permit, site plan, and then maybe somehow text, graphic-wise, we'll add those in there. So yeah, there's text amendment like we just did. That's just like a regular commercial thing. It takes just as long. Public hearings cost time and money. Excavation permit, that's the one with the,
That's the one that the name's changed.
yeah, so we
Right.
changed the name there.
Because excavation has caused a little bit of confusion. People think that they don't have to pull it, where it really is for excavating and filling.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be, let them know that, excavation slash fill permit, so we'll add fill there. And then, of course, this is where I wanna couple this with the zone reg change, so they're in sync with each other. And then floodplain district development permit,
Currently, we have no charge for it because we haven't really done very many floodplain permits.
yeah,
But there is a whole section on them in the zoning regs.
yeah, so,
So I don't know what kind of charge you want, and if you wanted to, that's gonna come into play both in commercial and residential, and if you want to classify it separately as well.
you know those two applications from the shores that came in, those are floodplain, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how much did we charge for them?
I did not charge for them because it's not on our fee schedule.
And on top
The
of it.
loophole.
Well, and on top of it, both of those were the flood zone
Yes,
is wrong on the lake,
yes.
so,
Don't say it's wrong on
I'm
the
sorry.
lake, because FEMA does not agree with you. FEMA believes that this
there's,
is a flood
no,
zone.
correct, I was gonna say, there's a discrepancy, but yes,
They
that's
corrected on a case-by-case basis.
correct.
But, you know, this is a hole we should plug, you know, because they come in front, the land use have to do a lot of work and they get paid nothing for it. So I don't see why it should be any different than, well, I liked residential at 150, like the excavation permit or the special permit. And commercial, so that's just your guesstimation, 300. Those don't seem to be that hard. Not like the,
These are starting points, you can
yeah,
change them however
okay.
you like.
All right, and then you have this section on the bottom.
But you check with other towns,
Oh, she has all the other towns in
yeah,
there too.
so you went according to what you saw.
I went according to what seemed reasonable.
Yes.
To me, but of course you can disagree with me.
But if it's comparative, then,
Some charge more, some charge less, some towns charge $750 for a special permit,
wow,
easily, or zone change, or CBA application. 735, excuse me.
All right, so the next one,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
design review. So this is where there's nomenclature, like, yeah, we do a design review of site plans and this and different things. These design reviews, really, this is what we charge already. A commercial project comes in front, we look at the square footage and the footprint. And then, in addition to the flat fee, we add this on top of it, depending on the size of the project. So somehow, we have to link that in with the commercial projects.
And that's the part that was a little bit interesting as far as the conversion for the zoning regs and the fee schedule. That I would really like the commission to take a good look at it. that and how you want, and just to make sure you find that it coincides.
All right. And then as far as formatting goes, how to, you know, it just sits here, we don't know where. You can't
It's
buy.
difficult with the red line too,
Yeah.
because it takes up so many different.
Yep. So maybe it could be like a footnote or something, you know, these things footnoted, you know.
Can we get that emailed to us like tomorrow or whatever?
Yeah.
The red line fee schedule?
Well, what we're doing right now.
Oh, sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I can update that. Or she can update that. Laura can update it because she's got the original file.
I'd be happy to send it to anyone.
So the site plan modification design,
Yeah.
there's no fee.
No, 150. Minor site plan modification / design review modification.
There is a fee?
Yeah, $150. Is that section 8.4G?
Well, I have,
Yours isn't updated?
Oh, this is
He's
the
got
red
the
one.
marked up.
oh, you got the markup.
Right, that's what I was gonna say,
see.
Yeah,
I'm
you have
watching
a-
you
you
go
have
through this and I'm like,
going, what?
this is all wrong.
Okay, okay, this is a long time
Yeah.
ago, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Do you
What?
want a clean copy or a red line copy?
Could you give a red line and a,
And a clean?
without the markup, yeah, clean copy? So somehow, we have to, I can look at the formatting of that, just to spitball some ideas or throw something back at you. Renewal of design review approval, is that like the 5-year renew, how long are, every 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
So, and they have to come in front of us for that. I think usually, don't they?
They do,
Yeah,
they told me
so we just look at it and we just say yay or nay, and what is your experience?
Do you want to do that though, as far as renewal of an already approved permit? There's some interesting language, particularly because of COVID, that certain approvals have automatic extensions. So that's something you might want to consider that you might not want to. If it expires, they have to
Yeah.
come back before you for a new application. Why do you want to have them come back to renew it? There's a statutory deadline in which these applications are done. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess.
Want me to bring you the language for the
From,
COVID?
sure, but the thing, what I see this as is something happens, like the economy town turns, and they're like, okay, yeah, we wanna do the project, now we have to wait, you know, 5 years. And do we wanna punish them by, you know, more fees on top when nothing changes about the thing? That's my feeling. And like COVID, you know, which is why they said, oh, automatic extension, cause we know everybody's doing nothing, and time's ticking on their permit. And so they can't, you know, why do we wanna punish them?
Well, extending the permit in kind, I agree, we shouldn't punish that. However, if there's modifications.
Oh, then that's a different thing.
That-
That's
and
it.
that's-
Then they have to
and-
pay the modification
right,
fee.
Exactly.
Right, no, but that's where I'm going with this. I mean, again, in looking at some,
This is just changing the date.
correct, if there's a contractual or a date, you know, I opened up my permit, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
If something happens and I don't bill and I extend it, and I'm not changing anything, I think you've already paid the permit, you should be able to extend it.
Yeah.
Now, you could also set how long you could extend it, you know,
And we
you
usually
get one,
do.
you get one extension or 2 extensions,
Right.
again,
And we might feel as a commission, you know, okay, it's long enough.
right.
And so we would say, all right, one more extension and, you know,
If not, then it
but you
expires
still have
and
to
you've got
pay
it.
the money.
Right, right.
Wait, see, I don't know what lines up here. 10%, oh, is that 10% of the original fee or $500 minimum for the renewal of the design approval? Is that what that
I
is?
believe, and I think that's part of the original fee schedule too.
Oh, is it?
I don't think I
It just didn't line
changed
up, that's
anything.
So they do have to do something, so what's a typical commercial fee? So I don't have to calculate it.
Right?
So if someone had a 10,000 square foot building and they'd have to pay 2,500, let's say it's 5,000 square foot, cause then I don't have to do the additional. 2,500, they'd have to pay another 250 plus, they have to pay at least 500. And if it's 10,000, they would,
They pay double, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cause alls we do, What do you do, Fran, when someone gets an extension? Did you go in the file and scratch out the expiration date and put a new one?
No, we asked for an extension. We have an extension application, like a form they have to fill out.
Oh, so
They
you
had-
have,
They had a page in, right?
I'm sorry?
They had a page in,
Page in,
right?
yeah.
oh, they do, so you have some work to do.
Yeah.
We don't get any more documentation except for
No.
a request for extension,
Exactly.
so it's,
That's all it is, a request for extension.
all right. What does the commission members feel about keeping that as a extension? We can, once we get the clean copy, we can go through again and decide if we wanna keep it or
Let's
not.
keep it in there for now.
I agree.
Yeah,
I was
all
about
right.
to say the same
Okay.
thing.
Major shopping centers, we don't even have those regs anymore, that can be struck. And then, of course, on the other side of the page, thank you for using both sides.
I have a stupid question though.
Sure.
For a major shopping center, what dictates a major shopping center?
Well,
You got
in the old regs, there actually has a definition.
Okay, no, that's fine.
We dropped it.
Okay, cause I was gonna say, you got the one going in at Four Corners.
Oh, so
does
the
it-
one, like,
That's
the
not a
last
ma-
one
that's
we
not-
did
that's
was
not.
the one that's been approved at the cornfield.
Yeah, that's not a major
Okay.
shop.
There's 2 buildings there, but there's a total of.
Right, again,
And
it
in
was
fact,
supposed
they
to be.
came in front of us for an extension on that very thing, because it
Right.
takes time to build out the whole thing.
Okay,
I don't know if, I have the old regs if anybody's ever
No,
interested.
don't.
I got them too.
Just for curiosity.
They're a good cure for insomnia.
Yeah, yeah. On the next page, public hearing fee, no, that's now grouped underneath there. Site plan mod, again, that was on the other page, we moved it up. Permanent signs, you had, permanent signs, as opposed to temporary. This is where we got to the temporary thing. What's the, you had put something in, struck it out, or what is CC $50? Do you remember what that was on that?
It's actually on your original fee schedule, under signs.
credit card?
Oh, yeah,
I wasn't quite sure, so I figured I'd bring it to you.
I see. 15 plus $2 a square foot.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
that's for a sign application for,
Yeah, what does CC $50 mean?
Cutting the curb?
Curb cut?
It's just under signs.
Yeah, I see it here. $15, well, how much do you charge for a sign? Is it $15 plus $2 a square foot?
it does, yeah.
And nothing else?
No.
No $50 charge for something called
Unless
CC?
Building may charge the $50.
Is this a
It's basically,
temporary?
it's like a certificate of zoning compliance.
Oh,
But these
we're
are
not sure.
permanent signs.
Permanent.
yeah,
We'll
permanent.
Like
go
a
back
wreath
and find
base or
out.
something.
All right. So why don't we strike that until we can figure out what that actually means?
CC is, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. So here under temporary event permit, nonprofit, I had talking about this before, as opposed to special event. And this is where we have to make sure the nomenclature matches, that's our section 7.1, you'll see they have, what's it actually called, temporary event. So that's a permit, no, we don't charge for that, but we do charge for a special permit. And I don't see that. You had struck that out, special event permit commercial. But that would be, God, I can hardly read my own thing. I think that is still in 7.1. Because below, in 7. Commission or CEO may grant a permit to conduct an event, sale, or promotion on the commercial industrial property of an application for a period, yada, yada, yada. So we do allow commercial events that are profit, and so we should at least, have a charge for that.
Well, Woodbury charges $30. And,
We used to charge 50 because it was here before it was struck out. I would say unstrike that and make it a temporary event, not a special event permit, to get the nomenclature right. And it would be 7.1, and we could leave it at $50 for now and then go back on the numbers. We'll get the structure first. Just below that, special event sign permit, commercial, you had struck that out, and that you would also need, I think, charge for that.
Do you want to classify your signs, and I think that was the other question as far as how you wanted.
They actually have that in the table for under commercials, like way down the list. And I was looking at it today, and it took me a long time to find it, but because it's written in microprint.
Maybe that's why I didn't find it.
Yes. It's in commercial industrial, and it's on, well, I say page 137, but it's table 6.4, and it's the third page, and it's right below off-premise directional signs, and it says sign advertising a special event, sale, promotion, or opening/closing of a business. And this is where it harkens back to the temporary event, which is 7.1 for a commercial. And it's one single or double face sign, maximum 24 square feet. So that should reference this. Unfortunately, you can only, so I think the reference for both of these signs should be section 6.2/table 6.4. So instead of just going to the section, they go to the section and that table. But there's so many different, rules on signs.
Yeah.
That's why Fran has a hard time.
How many more you got over there? You're giving her a lot of hope.
Just a couple more. And that's it. The rest are regulation map amendments we took care of, natural resource removal permits. No, we have excavation/fill. Wood cutting, there's no such thing anymore. And reinspection fee.
There's only one thing I would like to add to it, and I didn't realize it until today. We should add motor vehicle repairs license. It is being removed from the responsibilities from the zoning board of appeals, and it falls under now a ZEO approval
Yeah.
by state statute.
Isn't that part of your reg change you wanted
It
to
is
do?
part of my rec change, but I just realized I didn't add it to the fee schedule, so
Oh.
I'm not being consistent, so I would like to add that.
Okay.
It's currently $350.
360 was your.
I'm sorry, $360?
360
I don't know
plus
if
60
No,
No,
it's
just
360
360.
to us or to the state?
to us.
All right. And that would fall under zoning permit, right?
That would fall under a zoning permit category.
right. All right.
And if everyone's okay with that
Fine,
fee,
fine.
okay,
All right.
perfect. Thank you.
Motor vehicle repair.
And that brings us to the end of the list, Matt. Well, you're the one that wanted to get moving on this, right?
On this one?
Oh, what?
Before we finish, that gentleman's been sitting out there for a while, and I would be willing to bet he's the new business that we set the public hearing for.
He's the
That
chair-
is the
he's
chair
of
of
the
the
ZBA.
ZBA.
Oh,
That's Alan Donnelly.
sorry, thank you.
He just, he's got nothing else to do on a
Just making sure-
Thursday night.
I'm just making.
He only meets once a month. We get twice, 2 nights.
He's the gentleman sitting here in the audience.
Chairman of the
He
ZBA.
hasn't said anything. I gotta
He's not
acknowledge
supposed to.
it.
Well,
Sorry.
he's following the rules.
I-
What can I say?
I have a couple of comments.
Yep.
I tell you, what was written by the 2 former commissioners was absolutely despicable. It was irresponsible. It put this commission in a bad light, and it was not the way to have handled what they were doing. Gary Getz's letter was completely out of line. If he's going to charge people with law breaking and violations of the charter, he should cite what it's doing. There is a way to remedy that when you think there's a violation of the charter, or you think a law is being broken, or you don't agree with the town attorney's opinion. You go to the Board of Ethics, you ask for an advisory opinion, you say, this is what I think is wrong, and you ask them to act on it. What he did was not come in here for 3 months, didn't resign from the commission, and then castigated everybody except himself on the way out. So what I'm gonna do is take the part of the charter that he thinks was violated, and that he's telling people is violated, and I'm gonna give it to the Board of Ethics as an advisory opinion, and I'm gonna get them to weigh in. That is how you handle when you believe a charter is violated, not what he did. And certainly not what Mr. Pratt did either. And if something's bothering them that happened 3 months ago, they waited an awful long time to bring it up. And it's so disrespectful to the voters that elected them. I'm sorry, but I had to say that, and I am going to be putting that charter issue in front of the Board of Ethics as an advisory opinion, and they can weigh in on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Krabs.
Sorry, but I'm not.
That's all right. I mean, it was top of the fold, first page,
It was.
Yeah, in the paper. Anybody else have any comments?
I just wondered if speaking of ethics, was the complaint,
The interesting thing about the ethics committee is that until they make a decision on something,
We can't
can't
discuss
even
it.
say whether a ethics thing was put in. I can only, yes, those are the rules.
No, we did vote as a commission to put it in, it's
Yeah.
been put in, we can't do anything until they come back to us.
And we can't even say whether there was a thing,
okay,
according to the rules and bylaws of the ethics commission.
Um,
But
the-
when we say we're gonna do something, we do something.
I should have asked this when I was just talking a second ago. Does the commission want to join me in that inquiry? Because I'm going to make an inquiry. I'm not making a complaint because I don't know if something was violated or not. But I'm going to make the inquiry and they can come back to the advisory opinion on it. I think there's some gray language that needs to be clarified. And the other good thing about an advisory opinion is if something is wrong, they'll tell you how to remedy it or suggest ways you can remedy it. And if there is a problem, there's probably ways to remedy it.
I would have to recuse myself since I'm the subject of that. One of the subjects, not the only subject.
I have not seen this article.
Oh, well, sent today's paper.
I have not seen it.
There's also,
I
they
can
wrote
text it to you.
letters, they wrote letters to the Board of Selectmen, it was in the Selectmen's meeting, it wasn't in the meeting.
We got them too.
There's, letters to the Board of Selectmen, which are always interesting.
Mr. Grimes, I will go along with you on making an inquiry
Okay,
to the ethics committee.
we're just making an inquiry. We're not accusing anybody. We're just,
No.
Fine.
my intention is just to lay out the issue and say, tell us what you think. Is that okay? So I guess I'll make a motion to add making an inquiry to the Board of Ethics to the agenda as item, whatever this is, item 10.
10.A.
10A.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any,
And
any discussion,
guess-
aside from what just happened?
I guess the motion would be to authorize Commissioner Grimes to, on behalf of the commission, to make an inquiry to the Board of Ethics over the charter issue of appointments
Raised by
raised
Mr.
by
Getz and
Commissioner
Mr.
Getz and Commissioner Pratt.
And you second?
And I'll second,
All right.
whatever he said.
Yeah, any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And you were aye too. And
Aye,
abstain? I'm abstaining.
401.
You ayed.
401.
401,
He,
yeah.
it was there, it was just, it was on the slow side.
Yeah.
I'll let Sean make the last motion.
What's that?
Adjourn.
I get to make a motion. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.